All right, let's talk Dallas Cowboys. Of course, it is OTA season. We're starting to see what the Cowboys, some of these new additions especially, are going to look like for this Dallas squad in the 2025 season. And there's one young guy, a little bit unheralded, a little under the radar, who is off to a great start. There's some exciting reports about this prospect. We'll get into him in just one second. But first, I'm Nick. That is Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Dallas Cowboys made a lot of big time moves over the course of this offseason, grabbed some big names, some not so big names, but it's the Dallas Cowboys. Most moves they make a lot of news. But there's one addition the Cowboys made very late in the 2025 NFL draft, the selection of massive defensive tackle Jay Toia out of the University of California, Los Angeles. That kind of slid under the radar, but he's off to a great start. And obviously, this is a position of need for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's pull up the article first, then we'll get into some more information on the other side. This is courtesy of Athlon Sports. Standing at 6'3", 325 pounds, big man, obviously. Former UCLA Bruins defensive tackle Jay Toia was built to stop the run, and stop the run he did in college. The Cowboys selected Toia with one of their 3 7th-round picks earlier this month, and he's impressing early in the offseason. During Thursday's voluntary OTAs, Toia got repeated work with the team starters who were present. If he can prove to be as effective on Sundays as he was for the Bruins, then Dallas might have found competition for a disappointing pick 2 seasons ago. Obviously, that last sentence is referring to Mazi Smith. We'll get into some of his stuff in just one second. Toia did get some repetitions with the first string. Obviously, it's voluntary OTAs. Not everybody's there, but a lot of starters were. A lot of veteran guys were there. The fact that he got some opportunities with the first string so early for a 7th-round pick is a little unique. That is very important. That makes me think that Eberflus and his entire defensive staff believes that Toia has a chance and will get a chance to compete for significant playing time when it comes to stopping the run. And that is basically the only part of his game that matters. Let's go ahead and get into our next image here. This is a screenshot from his strengths from his draft profile, courtesy of NFL.com. Just for those of you who aren't familiar with this kid, he brings nose tackle thickness to the field. Like I said, he is a big dude, good aggression and effort level on each snap. That's really compared to Mazi Smith. That's good, obviously, to hear. Mazi Smith will have those flashes and moments, but then he gets absolutely blown off the ball, whether it's technique, whether it's effort. There's clearly an issue with consistency there with Smith. Toia did not have that problem in college. Battles double teams to the wide base and a strong back leg. Drive power to penetrate the line versus finesse blocks. Opens rush edge with violent slaps and club moves. So that's all good stuff there, but it's all predicated on being a run stuffer. And the biggest criticism about Toia is all he is a run stuffer. All he is a space eater, right? All he is makes inside run very hard for the opposition. The great news for Dallas is they were so terrible at that last year. If that's all Toia is, that may be the biggest draft pick they make in 2 seasons, right? In fact, let's go and transition to some of Mazi Smith's numbers. And this is ugly, folks. So prepare yourself if you're not ready. Viewer discretion advised. So on the screen right now, we've got Mazi Smith's PFF numbers from the last 2 seasons, his first 2 seasons in the NFL. And for those of you who have been out of school for a little while, on a scale of 1 to 100, when you're grading out overall in the 30s and 40s, that's an F. That's pretty bad. But the run defense grade, my God, folks, this is quite terribly awful. And I'm not trying to pick on Mazi Smith too much, right? I'm just being honest with what these numbers are saying, right? Grading out in the 30s as a run stopping interior defensive lineman cannot happen. Like, good teams can't have that happen, right? It's different if you're like an Oso Digizua and you're primarily there to be a pass rusher and your run defense grade isn't very good. 30s would still be unacceptable. But, you kind of say, hey, I'm here to rush the passer. Fine, I get it. Mazi Smith is here to stop the run, and he is not getting it done. He's actually a massive liability. Toia getting reps early makes me believe the coaching staff thinks he has a strong chance to supplant Mazi Smith. I truly believe that as the key run stuffer in the interior of this defensive line. Toia was known for being a run defender. He is not a pass rusher whatsoever. We are not looking at the next Jay Ratliff, of course, famous 7th-round pick who went on to be a Pro Bowler for the Dallas Cowboys on the interior defensive line a number of years ago. Not that kind of defensive tackle. Big, mass eater, run stuffing kind of guy. I think Toia is proving already that he has a chance to be an impact player for the Cowboys. And again, we're not looking at 50 snaps a game. We're looking at about a guy stopping the run on 1st and 10, stopping the run on 3rd and 1. That's what they're looking for out of this rookie. And based on his performance so far, his performance in college, and based on how terrible the Cowboys are at that position, I mean, these numbers are just ugly. I think Toia has a massive chance to be an impact player for the Cowboys day one. All right, Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. But first, Cowboys fans, in the comment section below, as we look at Mazi Smith, and his numbers are bad, right? I hate to use the term bust because it's so negative, but it's looking that way at this point. Hopefully, it turns around. We're all rooting for him. It just is what it is at this point, right? Who is your most memorable Dallas Cowboys bust? First round bust, second round bust. We'll focus on those 2 rounds in your viewing lifetime, right? There's a lot of names that could come out there, but give us one guy in particular that really stands out to you, a bust for the Dallas Cowboys. Let us know in the comment section below. But Mize, over to you now. What are your thoughts on Toia and just everything going on with the Dallas Cowboys right now?
Yeah, Nick. So first, I want to cover Mazi Smith's numbers just briefly because I didn't know they were that bad. But looking
Pretty
at the
bad.
numbers, they're pretty bad. And the worst part is he gets worse from year to year. He goes from 40 down to 34. If he was going up, at least there's something you could say. Like he got a little bit better, but he got worse. I just want to cover two things really fast. We talk about it ad nauseum, but every video to video people may not know. And let's explain the PFF grading scale a little bit more in depth. When you look, like you said, 0 to 100, 100 is pretty much impossible to get. I don't think anyone's ever gotten 100. But you look at the grades, 90s is elite. That's like superstar, all pro, future Hall of Famer type stuff. 80 is good. That's like a very above average starter, Pro Bowl type of stuff there. 70 is average. 70 is like a really, 70 is above average. That's like a really solid, perennial starter for your team. 60 is actually average. That's just baseline. If you got a 60 for the position, you're what is expected at the position. 50 is below average, 40 is poor, and then 30 is very poor. And you look at this and it even breaks it down further. It says 100 to 90 is elite, 89 to 85 is pro bowler, 84 to 70 is a solid starter, 69 to 60 is like a backup range for you, and 59 to 0 is replaceable. So anything below a 59 is replaceable. And that's where Toia comes in here. I think when you look at what Mazi Smith brought to the table, 2 seasons of being extremely replaceable, being like 10, 15, 20 points below the replaceable line. He wasn't even like towing the line, he was below it. I think when you bring in a guy like Toia and you're giving him first team reps already, I think that's a really strong showing for this young man, showing that this guy is capable. He's what they're looking for, and I think what he brings to the position is going to be pretty good. I think as a run stopper, he's going to be really strong, and he's at least going to be better than Mazi Smith. That's not very hard to do, but I think this guy is really bringing something to the table. And one thing that surprised me is when we talk about defensive linemen who are showing out early and you like already getting first team reps. You really glance that first title to the article. In my opinion, when I think Dallas Cowboys, like, oh, Ezraku's out there. We knew this guy was going to be, a talented prospect. He's doing a lot of great things. No, it's already Toia, a guy that was in the 7th round, a guy that was a really late draft pick for the Cowboys, doing some good stuff. I really like this, and I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. I love his build. I love what he does systematically as a player, as how it will fill a need. Because we saw, I don't even need to go back to it, it's probably burned into your memories right now, where Mazi Smith suffered the most was in the run defense game. Yes, he is terrible at pass rush too, but it was even worse at run defense. So I think that's the key here is Toia fits a need for the Cowboys. He's a big body, run defending type of player. Now, is this going to be a guy for you that is going to rush the passer and get like 70 sacks in a career? No, I don't think so. I think he's okay as a pass rusher. But this is a guy that can stuff the box and really eat up some valuable runs. And as that player, I think this is a perfect pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. And that's what we've been talking about too. I'll go back to this all offseason. It's not flash. It's not like getting someone super crazy or has like a 8, 6, 8, 500 pounds. They're getting guys that do things really good. They're getting solid football players, and that's what Jay Toia is. He's a solid nose tackle that can stop the run. He does one thing, he does it pretty well, and the Cowboys, they said, hey, let's get a guy in here that can fit the need that we need. We need a run stuffing defensive tackle who can really do that job. This guy, let's pick him up, later in the draft, get some value out of him. I think this was a hit for the Cowboys, and already I think this team's looking really good. Continuing the trend, not doing anything too crazy, getting guys that are valuable to this team, They don't have to be world beaters. They just have to be good enough to get the job done. And Jay Toia seems like that guy. He fits the mold, and he brings exactly to the table what the Cowboys needed to replace.